walked through sunshine, we stood in rain. We've danced in joy and we've wept through pain. Through every valley, through every climb, a love eternal stands the test of time. Faith and forever love, built on grace sent from above. There's storms that shake through skies that clear. His hand has held us year by year.
What's up? We are back. Well, hey, welcome to Marriage Encounters, the Monday edition. November. No, what day is it? It's,
we're not saying dates.
Oh, that's right. It's somewhere in 20 something. Anyway, all right. How about that? Hey, we're glad that you're with us on today on this wonderful journey called marriage, that we are learning and growing together and establishing something that is unshakable and unbreakable. And so we appreciate y'all hanging with us today, and welcome to another Marriage Encounters. Whether you're joining us live or listening to us later on the podcast, we are thrilled that you are spending this time with us. Hey, you know who I be. I be Bill. This be my wife, Michelle.
Really?
Yep.
So we're continuing in our series, built to last series, the heat. We've talked about the heat being on. I think today's conversation takes some pressure off of all of us because we're talking about something every marriage needs. Not perfection, but repair. Now, often we get into this thing of wanting our marriage to be picture book perfect. But if there's two people involved in it, it's never going to be perfect.
There's always going to be some challenges. Come on. Even Jesus had some challenges. You think you won't?
Sure.
Come on. And his bride is a horrible bride. His bride is horrible, man. All right. Anyway, hey, last time we talked about weathering conflict without falling apart. And here's the reality of things, ladies and gentlemen. Even when you learn to disagree better, you're still going to have some things go wrong. Even though you're learning how to disagree and come back together and work it out, that still doesn't mean that you won't have any problems. What it does is it gives you ammunition and tools in your toolbox to be able to fight through those challenges and stay connected and not disconnect. All right. So you're going to have moments when you don't know, or you really didn't show up as your best self. You know what I'm saying? You didn't put your best foot forward. That's just life. But when you learn how to process through those challenges, even on a bad day, you can still be a 10. I like that. Even on a bad day, I'm still a 10. It's just so you know. All right. So we're going to help them learn how to process through some things today. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think, but I want to rewind just a minute, because when we use the word ammunition, sometimes that makes people feel like it's something that they can use to torpedo their spouse. And that's not necessarily true. We are really talking about tools to help build how you fight those out there. We're a team, so we're not fighting each other.
Right. That's true.
We are fighting the enemy that comes against our connection, our unity, our peace. So we are not fighting, we're not creating and building an ammunition to fight each other. We are building our toolkit, and we are building our strong, stable foundation so that we have something to build on. So our goal can't be we never hurt each other's feelings, because sometimes when we're having conversations, the way I may say it or the way it may come off, it may hurt your feelings. That may not necessarily be the best way to do it. But, and of course, we shouldn't go into anything trying to hurt someone's feelings, but sometimes we have to tell people the truth. Everybody doesn't always receive the truth the best way. So something happens between us, we will know how to find our way back to each other. So there may be some conflict. There may be something that, as we are having these conversations, we know how to push through, because when we live a life that is full of faith, fun, and forever love, we are always pushing back towards how do we get to that place of loving each other.
Right? How do we build that strong relationship? And y'all know I'm a hunter, so I'm gonna use terms like ammunition, but that's probably accurate. That probably wasn't the best use because some of y'all like, yeah, boy,
I'm about to
put the clip on them now, boy. I'm finna put the clip
right.
on them.
I'm blowing this whole thing up.
Yeah. I'm gonna pick up the clip, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that wasn't the best use. So, but you have tools in your toolbox. How about that? All right. So, but I'm gonna ask my wife a question. After all these years, do you think one of the secrets in staying married is learning how to say I was I'm having trouble saying I was wrong.
I see.
Learning how to say I was wrong. There, I got it out that time.
So maybe the harder words are saying that you're right.
No, it's easy to say I'm right. That's an easy one. It's easy to say I'm right, but it's challenging sometimes to say that you're wrong. And so
it's hard for me to say that you're right.
Okay, yeah, if you flip it like that, yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, hey, look, what we want to do is record some things on the podcast, and that's what we were talking about. Is how do I say I'm wrong, or how do I say I'm right in a way that doesn't jeopardize our communication? Because no one is right all the time, and nobody is wrong all the time, right? So, what's the old saying? A broken clock is right twice a day. Twice a day. Right. So just know that you're not going to be right all the time. She's not going to be right all the time. But together, the two wrongs can make a right.
I think the real thing is that we have to really begin to look at marriage doesn't leave room for pride. So that pride is the one thing that'll make us not want to go back and apologize. It'll make us not want to say that we were wrong. It'll make us defend things that we know were absolutely backwards.
Mm-hmm.
But so when we really work on our marriage, when we really come together, one of the things that we have to put aside is that ego, that I'm always right. I know the right answer. I know that things are, and that's when we think about real intimacy. It really is that we have put that pride aside and we are willing to say, hey, I was wrong in this, or hey, let's look at this a different way. So I think those are the things that we really have to look at. How do we put aside our own ambition and our own striving when we are trying to pull our marriage together?
I think that can be challenging because, some people just live under the assumption that they're right all the time. I mean, let's be honest about it.
That's
Some
true.
people just, they think that they're right. They make the assumption that nobody is smarter than what they are. And that is simply not true. There's always somebody smarter than you, okay? It may be in a different subject, but it doesn't matter. There's always somebody smarter. You can always learn from somebody, okay?
I agree.
So, but when pride gets in the middle of it, we have to, and something happens, we have to be willing to move towards each other.
Yeah.
Back towards the other person, towards your spouse. Because if we're both standing there saying, well, I'm waiting on you. Well, I'm waiting on you. Well, keep on waiting because I'm waiting on you. Right?
Somebody got to jump.
Somebody got to do something. Otherwise, the disconnect begins to expand. And while you're waiting, but your mind ain't waiting.
Right.
Your mind is dumping all kinds of stuff in your head of what she or he should have did and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's why I think the scripture talks about to agree with your adversary quickly. Why? Because if you don't, you allow things to get in between, and more particular concerning your spouse. That doesn't mean that you agree with them, but you at least have to come together and reconcile sooner than later, because you don't want to allow the enemy space and time to build stuff between you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think sometimes we're waiting for somebody else to apologize when, we just need to be the bigger person and just go, you know what, it's not worth it. It's not worth our joy. It's not worth our peace. It's not worth the turmoil. It's not worth the friction and the tension that we feel in our home. And so sometimes we don't need to wait for that person to apologize. We just need to jump in, even if we don't feel like we're wrong. Because sometimes, you may be at that place where I don't feel like I started it. I don't feel like it. All of those things that we go through, all of those things that we justify in our mind as to why the situation is the way it is. But sometimes we just need to be the bigger person and just say, you know what? It doesn't matter if I started it. It doesn't matter if I didn't start it. It doesn't matter if it was my fault or if it wasn't my fault. You know what? For whatever my part was, I want to apologize for that part. However I said it, however I moved into it, whatever that piece is, I'm going to take responsibility for my part of this, because there is a my part and there is a your part. Mm-hmm. And so whatever my part of it is, I'm going to take responsibility for that and apologize and move forward.
Now that's the key though, because you said apologize, but then you have to be willing to move forward. So because, all of us have done it, we can say we're sorry and still harbor resentment, animosity in our minds. So if you are going to apologize, then you need to be prepared to not only make the apology, but then move forward from it. Because if you say, man, I'm sorry, whatever, okay, you ain't really sorry. You're just saying that, right? And so that doesn't have the same effect, not only on the person that you spoke to, but more in particular to you, because in your mind, you say, I'm just saying this to get you off my back, so you stop tripping. Mm-hmm. That's not going to work. So if you're going to say, I'm sorry or apologize, and I like the way you phrased it, because you said, I'm going to take ownership of my part. Maybe what I said didn't come out right. The more you take ownership of something, the less you can throw it off on somebody else. Mm-hmm. So, I like how you said that maybe I didn't say it right, or maybe it was misinterpreted, but whatever it was, I want to apologize for how I said it. And sometimes after you make the apology, you need to leave it there. Because oftentimes you'll say you're sorry.
Talking too much.
Yeah, and then you start talking too much. And then you want to explain why it really wasn't your fault. No. Say you're sorry.
And then walk away.
Walk away. Sometimes you talk too much, man. Stop talking, bro. You talk too much, okay? You was good, and then them last two sentences.
You messed it up.
Right. Okay. But it's in those times when you got to ask yourself, is being right really worth being disconnected?
Yeah.
Is me being right really worth the peace I'm going to sacrifice to get my point across? And most times it's not, especially with concerning your spouse. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And when we think about it, every strong marriage has had a time where they've had to have a repair. I'm always leery of those people that say, oh, we've never had an argument. We've never had a time. Yeah.
You're lying.
Yeah. That's always a little.
I don't believe that.
When I hear that.
Maybe in the first 3 days of being married.
I don't know. I know people I know lots of couples that just have arguments while they're at their wedding ceremony because things are not going the way they want it to, or things are not happening the way. So I just don't see that. I don't see how.
You don't think they can make it 3 days?
Well, I'm not saying that they can't, because at some point you're, hot and bothered, and so you're, not really talking anyway. But I think there are people that literally argue at their wedding, and it's not necessarily an argument of I'm mad at you or any of that, but I want you to come and stand right here, and you're over there chit-chatting, and it becomes an issue. And so I think that, the repair has to happen, and it's an ongoing thing. It's just like, with your car.
Like maintenance.
Yeah, that you don't buy a car and never have to do anything to it. You may go a long time, but you still got to put gas in there. Still got to make sure that it's the right kind of gas. You still got to make sure that all those things. And so what I want couples to hear this, because, when we look at social media, it can give us a distorted picture of what marriage looks like. We're watching all of these shows. Half these reality shows, they ain't even really married to the person. No. You know what I mean? No. So we're watching Married to Basketball, and ain't none of these people married to a basketball.
Right, ain't none of y'all basketball wives no more. Y'all ain't basketball wives, basketball husbands, none of that stuff.
None
Right.
of that. And so I think we have to be very conscious of the fact that our world and the world that we live in right now, especially with AI and all the things, can give us a very
False.
distorted, false, um, fake look at what it looks like, anniversary pictures or vacation pictures, and you're like, oh my God, they look like they're having a great time. Well, you don't know that they were arguing the whole entire time.
Right. Right.
Trust me. We don't necessarily do this, but we have been in places where we have had couples, not necessarily sometimes they've been with us, sometimes they've just been in view of us because we're on a cruise or we're on a at a space in a resort. Well, you see the same people every day. You can tell when they're arguing.
The first 2 days they was walking hand in hand. By day number 3, he 20 feet ahead of her. Bruh, there was an argument because
Right.
it just don't happen. Like, come on, we've been married a long time, okay? Even with my wife, I mean, if we walk it, I want her to be beside me, not 5 foot behind me, none of that. No, we gonna walk as one. But it's interesting because first few days you'll see them hand in hand,
They'll be
smiling,
all
looking at each
cheesy.
other's eyes. Day number 3, they sitting across the table. Like
Me
this.
mugging each other.
Yeah.
And so, somebody has went out and done something that, especially when you're at a place where there's a casino or you're at a place
Bottle
where
of
there's,
liquor.
right, that was just what I said.
Mhm.
So those, you see that, you see those people and you're like, okay, you know what's going on.
Right.
So those hurt feelings, those disagreements, those miscommunications all happen in real marriages.
Right. And sometimes when you look at it from the outside, you don't see the disagreements. You don't see
Mhm.
somebody apologize, and you don't see the seasons when the couple had to work harder to understand one another when life's challenges got thrown at them, and they were just trying to swim in deep water the best they could.
Doris,
Right.
swim, keep swimming.
Dog paddle, whatever it is, because the reality is a strong marriage is not a relationship or a marriage where nothing ever breaks down. Just be aware of that. But what has to happen is those two individuals have to learn how to repair things. Even when something breaks down, there's opportunity to repair it. Now, most of the time, something's going to warn you before. You know what I'm saying?
Good.
Something's going to warn you
That's
before.
good.
Look,
That light comes on.
yeah, your AC been cutting off, at a certain temperature all the time, and you say you just praying, Lord, let it keep working.
Keep working.
No, you probably need to call a repairman. I'm not saying Jesus can't fix it, but sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, when you see warning signs, that's an opportunity for you to close that breach before it gets any bigger.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to do that. All right. You have to learn to keep repairing. Repair starts, first of all, with responsibility. Who gonna own this? Right? Who this belong to? Who gonna own this?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, excuse me, you can't stop and repair things immediately. Sometimes an apology starts with "I'm sorry, but," okay, and that can be a little dangerous sometimes.
It can be a lot of dangerous.
I'm sorry, but so just say you're sorry
And leave it there.
and leave it there. Or if you're going to add something to it, you need to start off with something like, when I felt this way when you said whatever.
Mhm.
Because what you're doing is you're not putting the blame on what the person said. You're owning the feelings that were associated with you.
Yeah.
And those feelings could have came not from what was said, but from something in your childhood or whatever.
Absolutely.
So when you preface it like that, you own those feelings. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, when we really think about that, how do we make sure that we are owning, going back to what we said earlier, owning our part of the situation? When I say I'm sorry, you felt that way, then sometimes, yes, we do have to acknowledge that the person felt that way, but sometimes when we're apologizing, we will throw off those little kind of snide remarks that really do get the other person revved up and like, well, dang, why am I even apologizing? Because you didn't even want to hear this. So I think we have to be very careful when we're in that apology situation that we don't take that and throw it back at the person in their face, and that we truly do take that apology in. Now, at the time, you may be mad and be like, I ain't trying to hear this.
True.
That's okay.
True.
But take it in, allow the person to say the things that they need to say, because this is about repairing the breach that has been made. So, don't try to get in here and start doing a whole lot of explaining and,
Right.
trying to retrofit what needs to happen. Just, hey, you know what? I don't think what I said came across the way that I intended for it to. I'm sorry that your feelings were hurt, that, things didn't necessarily, the conversation didn't go the way I had rehearsed it in my head. So I apologize. I apologize for the way that I brought that across to you. I apologize for how you feel.
And leave it. You know, sometimes I think, because you'll be like, a person will be like, well, just whatever, do whatever you want to do. I don't care. And sometimes that's not a good, I do that all the time. Whatever, I don't care. I mean,
you do care though.
Well, I do care, but sometimes I don't have the bandwidth, or it's not worth the added pressure that it's going to take to try and convince somebody of something different. So it's easier to just say, hey, whatever. Because if it doesn't bother me that much, then I don't really care. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't have the bandwidth to chase little rabbit trail fights, and I don't want to do that. You shouldn't want to do that, right? But you do have to understand that repair requires you, first of all, to own your part of it. Whatever your part of it was, you have to own it. And sometimes maybe you weren't completely wrong about the issue. A lot of times you're not, but the tone and how you presented your case, how you argued your case was wrong. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so instead of building a bridge, you put dynamite on it.
Yeah.
And so now it's blown up and you can't figure out how to get back across, because now you got this chasm of anger, of animosity, this gulf that's between you. And so when you have those things, the best thing to do is not to blow up the bridge, which means own your part and apologize for what you own. Let's say it like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think and I know that we're kind of like beating, the nail over and over, but I want us to really do that because I want us to really understand and really have the cognition around the idea that often we get into a space that where we're expecting someone to apologize to us, and we don't want to have to be mature enough to step into that place where we are saying it. So I want us to really think about our intention, because our intentions matter. Did I say that on purpose? No, we all know somebody. We all know somebody, and they may not be the person that you're married to, but we all know somebody that will say some slick crap.
Slick, yep.
Okay? And then be like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. Yes, you did.
Yes, you did, because it's the 15th time you done said it.
You did.
Okay, so
you said it and you meant it.
Matter of fact, I had to bust somebody's bubble on that one time. Unfortunately, in the pastorate, sometimes you just got to say what needs to be said. And I had to tell them, look, you've apologized for this 5 times. So either you enjoy doing it or you're not really sorry.
Right.
Because if you are, then I ought to see some change in your behavior. And
because that's what an apology is supposed to do.
Right.
It is just like repentance.
Mm-hmm.
It means that I am going to turn from doing the thing that I have been doing over and over again and do something different.
But if you still doing the same stuff, then obviously you ain't repentant.
You're not sorry. You got caught.
You're not godly sorry, as the old saints used to say. You're godly sorry. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's say it like this: if I accidentally step on your foot and I don't say, and I don't say I'm sorry, or I say, well, I didn't mean to. Your foot shouldn't be hurting. I just barely stepped on it. That's not an apology. Okay?
Exactly.
It's not an apology. All you saying is you acknowledging the fact that I stepped on your foot, and quite frankly, you should be strong enough to handle the pain. That's really what you're saying, low key. But you know, an apology can be so simple now because you can just, hey man, my bad, you know, or whatever, and move on.
Yeah.
Right? Don't harbor it. So
And we don't harbor it, but know that just because you didn't intend for it to not hurt doesn't mean it didn't.
good point.
And the thing about somebody else's feelings, you don't get to determine whether they were hurt or not hurt. You don't get to tell them that shouldn't hurt you. You should be man enough to handle that. You should be woman enough to handle that. No, you don't know what that particular words, what that particular action, what that particular situation, you don't know where back in the day that went and touched, what trigger that it hit. You don't know that. So we can't tell a person that you shouldn't feel this way because that's not what I intended.
Good point. Good
Just
point.
because you didn't intend it doesn't mean it didn't create a feeling. It doesn't mean it didn't create an emotion for that person. And now I may not even really be thinking about you anymore. I'm thinking about what happened when I was 10.
There you go.
And I'm way left of center.
Raging man, right? And so, listen, when you do it correctly, you don't have to spend 20 minutes explaining why you shouldn't be hurt about what I said. No, as my wife said, everybody has a right to be hurt about something if it hurts them. How you gonna jump inside of me and tell me I shouldn't feel this way, bro? Please, you know, I mean, the audacity of that, and we kind of see that. I'm not gonna go that direction, but we kind of see that happening in different arenas now. I mean, I'm gonna just say it like this: how you gonna tell me what it feels like to be a black man if you've never been one?
Yeah.
Okay, miss me with that. How for you to have the audacity to try and own something that you have never experienced? Come on now.
Yeah. I think that's true with whether that's marriage. You know, you can't tell me how it feels to be in a marriage situation if you've never been married.
Right.
You can't tell me that, you know, that, oh, you guys should just be fine because, you know, you both are Christians.
You both love the Lord.
What?
We love Jesus, but right now
we don't necessarily love each other. So, I mean, I think there's lots of scenarios that are that way, that we can't tell somebody else how they should feel about it, how they should react to it, what should be going on. We don't suddenly become the busiest person in America. Now you're cleaning the garbage, reorganizing the closet, running errands. Nobody asked you to run anything except having the conversations that you were supposed to have. Know that if you try to run and disappear from this thing, it will not work. Right, you can't just make it go away abracadabra. So, you've got to work through it.
And you can't make your spouse beg for repair. Sometimes you've just got to sit down and say, "Can we talk?" Right? I don't like this distance.
Can we talk for a minute?
I don't like this distance that's between us, and we need to talk about this. And you know, sometimes it has to be a hot topic, which is what? Honest, open, and truthful.
Transparent.
I like truthful better than transparent. Honest, open, and truthful. So it has to be a hot topic. I mean, you have to be able to tell the truth. And when you do that, understand that your spouse has the right to tell their piece of the truth too.
Yeah.
Right? So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what you got to do when you're trying to repair something. Now, here's what I want you to do. Here's one thing I learned as a husband. Pride is expensive. Okay? You can protect your pride and lose your peace in your own house. You can humble yourself and protect your relationship. And sometimes you may still have the valid point. Let's just be honest. You know,
Sure.
what you're saying is true. But you often have to ask yourself the question, did I handle it correctly? Did I handle my point in a way that honored my spouse, that honored my wife? And that's a different question
Yeah.
because you answered correctly, but the way you phrased it created more rift and more problems. Okay.
Mhm.
And so, because being correct doesn't give you permission to be careless with your words.
Yeah. Yeah. That was
Okay.
really good. That was
Do I
good.
need to say it again?
No.
Oh.
We're running out of time. sometimes we say sometimes we say we've forgiven someone, but we keep making them pay. So I think that's something that we really have to be conscientious of, especially as wives. Not bringing back up things that we had from the past, not reminding them of mistakes, not because ultimately that doesn't help us heal. It doesn't truly help us to repair. It just keeps us in this feedback loop. And one of the things we know about the feedback loop is it does not take us into the future. So now forgiveness doesn't mean that we pretend like, it never happened, but we don't have to continue to go back there over and over again. We have to rebuild the trust. We have to be serious about breaches and take the time to really go back and repair them. We've all had that pair of pants that we love that has split. Okay. If you want to keep them, you're going to have to sew something back together.
Right.
Whether that's the zipper, whether that's the crotch of the pants. We've all had that time where, you went, oh, snap. I like these pants. I'm going to fix them. Same thing has to be about our marriage. I like this well enough that I am going to do what it takes to sew it back together.
To fix it.
Okay.
Right.
And this may be the deepest part of today's conversation. Repair doesn't always mean getting things back to the way they were. Sometimes that's not even what you want. Sometimes it's that we've got to, like the potter said on the wheel, I've got to make it again another.
Right.
And so I realize there's a flaw in it, but I'm not going to try to make it go back to where it was. We need to start over and we need to make it something new.
And there's still opportunity to do that, right? Because sometimes maybe the way things really wasn't that healthy,
Yeah.
right? Maybe the conflict exposed something that needed to change, not be repaired.
Yeah.
Right. So our scripture comes from Colossians, let me put my specs on, 3:13. Bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. Forgiveness is not a part of a covenant. It is a part of a covenant, not because hurt doesn't matter, but because, ladies and gentlemen, my phone was ringing. But because relationships can't survive if nobody is ever willing to admit they made a mistake.
Yeah. Grace doesn't remove accountability. Grace does not remove the accountability. Grace gives us room to acknowledge what happened, make it right, and learn from it and grow. So our love work for this week is we're going to ask each person what happened, what was my part, and what would help us move forward. So we all have something that we're working through, working on, working around. What happened? What really happened? Not just, how did we feel? What really happened? We're not talking about the toilet paper. We're not talking about the toilet. We're not talking about the toothpaste. What was the real issue? Don't cross-examine each other. Don't build a case. Just listen. This is what happened. This was my part of it.
And then own your part.
And what would help us to move forward from this situation?
Right.
Okay.
Right. All right. Well, we are showing up out of town. Out of time.
Out of time.
We're going to talk. So for a few moments, right quick, if we're talking about legacy, what are people learning about love by watching your marriage? what are your children really seeing? And what are you building that will remain after you?
So when we think about that marriage piece, when we think about, after we're having these conversations, after we are moving to the places that we need to move to repair, what are our children seeing? Do they see us apologize? Do they see us come back together? Do they see us repair those breaches?
Right.
Because marriage is worth fighting for. All right.
All right. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, keep building your relationship with faith, fun,
and forever love.
Blessings to you all.
Thank you for watching, and make sure that you join us on YouTube and our webpage, Marriage Encounters with Bill and Michelle at Weebly.com.